has also imposed tough sanctions on the communist and socialist dictatorships in Cuba and Venezuela.
We're doing what? We tried to overthrow Hugo Chavez in 2002. He's against the communist and socialist dictatorship. I thought that's the difference. Communist is the dictatorship, socialism isn't, right? That's the compromise that's in between. But he's got a problem with socialist. Never forget that Kissinger and Nixon killed Salvador Allende for being Chile's Bernie Sanders, who actually got elected president. That's the reason why Kissinger and Nixon killed Salvador Allende. A socialist became president, elected. The people chose socialism. And why wouldn't they? Socialism actually gives a damn about the people. So that's why we tried to overthrow Hugo Chavez. That's why we keep fucking with Cuba. And guess what? And Hugo Chavez gave poor New Yorkers heating lamp oil. We couldn't even give heating oil to our poor. Hugo Chavez, what is he trying to do? He's just trying to consolidate the Bolivarian, revolution. So what Chavez has built up. And we keep meddling in their lives. We keep on, talk about meddling in elections. We invade nations. Talk about meddling in elections. And then whose side are we on? When we go into Venezuela, when we go into Cuba, we fight for the Cuban people or the Venezuelan people? No, it's for free markets. It's for United Fruit, Chiquita Banana, Exxon Mobil. You see how brazen we are? Oh yeah, we're going to go ahead and invade Cuba and Venezuela now. We're going to undo, right? Obama had a warming of tensions. We were actually going to talk to Cuba. We were going to be friends with Cuba.
Has also imposed tough sanctions on the communist and socialist dictatorships in Cuba and Venezuela.
So you're going to try to tell me our history, the past, says that we're on the side of the corporations over the people. And Trump brazenly says that we're in Venezuela because of their social...
And he's a great welder. I was told that by the man that owns that company that's doing so well. So congratulations, Corey.
Am I supposed to trust that the 30 Vietnams, I'm not going to let this go. People want to talk about we're bombing 8 countries. We're invading 30 countries. Special ops are in 100 nations. So it's clear that we're an empire, and we can discuss if there's a virtue of being an empire. Clearly, somebody thinks there's a virtue of being an empire. But if we're going to go into Venezuela because they got socialism, if we're going to be defending Exxon Mobil's and private oil companies and free trade, supposedly free trade, free for them, right? For us to take their shit. Do you think the 30 Vietnams that Trump is starting in Africa is going to be any different? Do you think in Zimbabwe our troops are there for the people or the oil company? In Botswana, you think we actually give a damn about the poor children there or their natural raw material?
And he's a great welder. I was told that.
As if that's even a question. Just look in our own country. Who's got the power in our own country? Do we even give a damn about our own people here? Just enough to keep them from rebelling, but it's corporate America, right? Legalized bribery. Who's got the power? The 1%, the plutocrats, the corporations do. The people don't have the power. 65% of the people don't even vote. So in the United States, the corporations is who the government fights for, not the people. So that's going to be who they fight for in other countries. God damn it, man. Everything Trump is doing, everything he's touching, he's like the opposite of Midas. He is spreading his virus, his disease. We need an untrumping of everything he's doing. This dystopian nightmare is going to stop. The midterms are right around the corner, and these snowflakes are bringing a winter. A winter like...
That is why tonight I am asking Congress to pass legislation to help ensure American foreign assistance dollars always serve American interests and only go to friends of America, not enemies of America.
Oh, holy night or silent night, fall on your knees. Oh, hear the angel voices, O night divine. Fall on your knees. Reverence. You fall on your knees of reverence. Look at what this is. You bow down to the supreme almighty being. Obedience, resistance to tyranny is obedience to God. So the Kaepernick kneeling is respectful, and then he wants to try to point out that kid who goes around littering in cemeteries, just throwing a bunch of pieces of fabric all over the place. 40,000 pieces of fabric, perhaps even Confederate propaganda, Confederate.
In 2016, American taxpayers generously sent those same countries more than $20 billion in aid.
I want to remind that's essentially where Trump stands when it comes to free speech. You can devote yourself to another nation. You can have a Confederate flag. You can be a treasonous bastard who's against this nation. You can be a Nazi, a neo-Nazi who also fought against the United States of America. You can love another nation. You can love another country. You can wave other flags. That's freedom. You're allowed to do that, right? You're free to be a treasonous, anti-American, bigoted piece of shit. The Nazi flag, the Confederate flag that's a threat. Those people are threatening black people, they're threatening Jews, and they're threatening anybody who protects those people. And Americans. It's a threat against Americans. And threats, that is a limit to free speech. I love free speech. We got to cut the threats out. So when it comes to loving our soldiers, going into cemeteries and littering and just...
Shortly afterwards, dozens of countries voted in the United Nations General Assembly against America's sovereign right to make this decision. It has also imposed tough sanctions on the communist and socialist dictatorships in Cuba and Venezuela.
We're going to respect our soldiers in the final resting place of our beloved soldiers, just trashing the place up. We as a nation didn't stop the war, so they didn't have to go up and die for oil companies and dumbass, lies. We didn't bring them home so they could live themselves a good life, but at least we trashed a cemetery. Let the war carry on. Hell, let's let it go on for another 17 years. The way that you celebrate the war, right, that's more important. Let's celebrate the war. Then maybe we can finally get Bin Laden, Saddam Hussein, Tojo, Mussolini, Hitler. 17 more years. Come on, America. Can't we do this? We've been at war for 17 years. Let's do it for another 17. Let's do it for 34, 35 more years. Let's just do it this whole fucking century. Let's never stop.